Hello again, Gills fans, and welcome back to Gills in the Blood TV for our latest question and answer session with myself and Boz. Obviously, there is no game this weekend due to Shrewsbury's engagement in the FA Cup, so we have been taking your questions over the last 24 hours and we are going to crack straight on with them right now. The first question that came in is from James Dobson, and he has asked us favourite and least favourite Gills moment or game, so we can both answer that one, can't we? What are we going to go with? Least favourite first? We'll get the horrible bit out of the way.
Least favourite, Forest away in the Championship.
Relegation,
Yeah.
2005.
I was still young then, I didn't think football existed outside of that league, so I didn't know what to expect.
I am going to say, just as a general sort of period of time after what we've been suffering for a while, I'm going to say, unfortunately, the whole of the Adrian Pennant reign, because it was just absolute dross. I mean, it was one win in 12 in the league, spoke for itself before we got fired, and it wasn't even nice when he came in last season, was it, after Justin Edinburgh got sacked? So I'm going to go with that as a period of time rather than one specific moment. I thought his whole reign was horrible, and thankfully everything is a bit more optimistic now. And favourite?
Winning the league in 2013. Never thought I'd see it, but I have.
Yeah, we don't win trophies as a rule,
No.
so I am going to go back a bit further, being a bit older than Boz, and I'm going to say the year 2000, Wembley and Andy Thompson's extra time winner that saw us see off Wigan and get us to the promised land of the Championship for the first time in our history. Second question is from Sam GFC Johnson, and he asks, having assumed that we stay up this year and make a few signings, how do we expect the Gills to line up next season with Steve Lovell if he starts afresh?
Could be very different. There's a lot of players out of contract.
Loads this year, isn't it? It's pretty much about, I think it's about 80% of the squad at least.
Generally, you tend to, most squads you lose 8 or 9, you bring in
I was
7
going
or 8,
to
don't
say,
you?
League One turnover in the summer generally is very, very high, so it could be completely different. I mean, the hope is that we can keep the spine of that squad at the moment that's doing so well, the Tom Eves, the Mark Burns, the Gabby Zakwanis, the Max Amars, the Thomas
Zakwani
Holeys.
being one of them that's out of contract.
He only signed a year's contract, so that'd be great if we could keep them together for the first game of next season, but we're not sure, Sam, to be quite honest, in terms of, because loan deals and stuff like that at this level, it could be very
January
different.
could be pivotal, couldn't it? If we bring in
Yeah,
permanents
if
or
we bring in a
loans
few
or-
this window, then obviously it might give you a better idea, but at the moment, very tricky to say, Sam, but thanks for the question anyway, mate. Next up is Miles Crozier. Cheers for your question, mate. And you asked, realistically, what do you think we can achieve this season and keep up the good work? So firstly, thank you, mate, for that.
You'd like to think mid-table. I mean, someone asked me at work the other day, and I was anywhere between 13th and 18th, and I'd probably take that.
I think if someone said to me now, you finish where you finish, I'd bite their arm off. 15th. I said 16th at the beginning of the season before it went horribly wrong. So, yeah. We were speaking in the pub last night at darts, weren't we? And what was the odds we were looking at? 10 to 1, I think you can get. 10 to 1 for Gills to finish in the top half, I think is worth a bet. And 300 to 1 to finish in the top 6. It's got to be worth a pound, doesn't it, Miles? I don't know if you're old enough to gamble, Miles. Sorry, mate. I mean, I'm old compared to most people. But I'd take mid-table. I think if we continue to form, I tweeted the other day, didn't I, that current form we're 5th in the league tables in the period since Steve Lovell's been there. So if we can continue that, then you never know. But we've got a lot to do in terms of the top 6. I would take
if we end this
anything.
season well, it goes well for next season, doesn't it?
Anything between 10th and where we are now, I'd take happily.
Yeah.
10th to 15th.
We jumped at it.
10th to 15th, yeah, because if we would offered that 3 months ago when Lovell took over, we'd have snapped your arm off. So
nice boring into the season.
Mid-table obscurity, lovely stuff. Next one is from Craig Hewing Everett, who asks, when an old manager leaves and then sees a new guy do well with pretty much the same set of players, what must they be thinking? Penny for the thoughts of Mr. Pennock and Taylor. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because obviously we've all praised Steve Lovell and his staff for what they've done, because it's exactly the same
How
set
many
of
of them
staff.
did Lovell bring in?
But it is all Adrian Pennock's players.
Yeah.
Because Steve Lovell's not had a transfer window until now, it's just starting. So, obviously, in terms of what Peter Taylor and Adrian Pennock think, obviously, coaches all tend to have their own ideas on how to set up teams, don't it? And we've said the biggest thing, sorry, I've taken over this one a little bit, the big difference between Steve Lovell and the previous two was that he's setting us up to go and have a go and try and win football matches, whereas AD and Peter Taylor, it seemed, were constantly trying to just keep us in games and not lose football matches. So maybe it is that simple.
It must grate on them a bit when they look back now, and as I've already said, like, Lovell hasn't brought any of these players in yet.
No.
So the likes of, Pennock and Taylor looking at it, thinking they brought in what we thought at the start of the season was...
Well, if you look at the 3 or 4 star players this season, Thomas Holy,
who
Gabby
hands up, we
Zakwani,
all slated in the summer.
Yep, definitely. Hands up, humble pie and all that. So you've got him, Gabby Zakwani, Tom Eaves and Josh Parker from last season. They're all Adrian Pennock signings.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. It's weird, isn't it? It's hard. You can't say how they're
I think until you've been in a dressing room, you can't really answer that properly, I don't think.
No, but like you say, the biggest thing is probably frustrating that they may think, well, how comes these players are playing more for Steve Lovell than us? But sometimes it just works.
It's mixed messages as well, isn't it? If they were being told at the start, we're not getting beat today, we're just going to set up 10 behind the ball. Obviously, Eves is then isolated. He knows he's in for a long day. But like I said, Parker, Wagstaff, Martin, they're going to spend their time defending. Whereas now they've been given a free.
Eves gets a partner and thinks, hang about, I might score a few. So tricky one to answer. Good question though, Craig. Thank you, mate. Next question is from Luke Naylor, and he wants to know our favourite moments vlogging, and also if we could sign any League One player for the Gills, money no object, who would it be? Right, I'll let you start. We'll go with the favourite vlog moment.
Just for the humour, your rant, I think it was Peterborough last season, when Donnelly started with a game with conjunctivitis. Muldoon fell over like a salmon and you had butted the table.
I was at the week we started comparing all our squad to fish.
We just had a mad week.
Chris Hurd was a whale, wasn't he? Ollie Muldoon was a salmon.
Yeah, that sticks out in my mind.
And we lost to the player who had basically just a head. Yeah, Baby Bayo was no shoulders, no neck, no hips. He was just a body, head, arms and legs, and then he scored a worldie. Thanks for that, Boz. Anyway, my favourite vlog moment, I'm going to go back to last season, and it features a player that's no longer with us, sadly, in my opinion, Dave Miller. I'm going to go for the Scunthorpe game for obvious reasons. Josh Wright's 9-minute penalty hat-trick brought us back from the dead from 2-0 down. To catch it all on camera and to catch all the pictures of the fans and all that around us was absolutely incredible, and it's one of them we were there moments, because it won't happen again in my lifetime supporting the Gills, I'm pretty sure of it. So that's mine. Gillingham 3, Scunthorpe 2. And in terms of money no object players, Boz?
Ricky Holmes for me. We need wingers. He fits that bill. He takes set pieces. Yeah, he's very creative.
He's left-footed as well.
Very good League One player. Yeah.
But we kept him quiet the other day. So if you want to sign him, you've got to get him out of Gabby Zakwani's pocket, though, apparently. I'm going to go for another position we need, a number 10. I'm going to go, and before we carry on, we both said obviously Bradley Dack would be at the top of our list, but we've had him. We're not going to, just to make it not obvious. So that's why we've gone for 2 different players, and I'm going to go for Nick Powell of Wigan Athletic, who finally seems to be realising that potential that he had as a kid as at Crewe. Then he went to Man United. Scores goals, create goals, biggish for a number 10 as well. He's good size. He can run in behind, he can edit. I think he's in double figures already this season, and we're going to obviously playing really well. I'd love Nick Powell to come to the football club, but obviously we don't have the funds. But that was the idea of the question. So cheers, Luke. Thank you, mate. Next up is from David Moore. Thank you, David. And it's more of a question to do with social media and us as vloggers and other channels. Do you agree negative views on social media can influence groups of supporters and leads to negative reactions to certain players on match days? Cannot understand how booing helps players or the team. Interesting question, that one, Boz. I think, mate, I'm going to let you go first in terms of negative effects. And obviously, we've criticised players before.
Yeah, exactly. Let's be honest, it's not all rosy. Certainly under Pennock, it wasn't rosy in the slightest. We'll hold our hands up. We're not perfect. We all make negative comments. Sometimes that's...
Comes out of frustration, doesn't it, sometimes? Thomas Holy, you made a good point. We've already mentioned him in this.
We criticised him last season in the summer. We didn't want him near the first team. Now, I don't want him to go.
Cult hero at the moment, yeah. So it is...
Big favourite.
Obviously, in terms of booing on match day, I've never been a fan of it. It doesn't help. If you're going to do it after the game or before the game. But during the game, it doesn't help anyone. I know I've had issues before with individuals, and the we go again tweet a couple of seasons ago used to frustrate the hell out of me. But Then we spoke to Max Amer, not to go on about it, people know that interview and what that came from, and they're human beings at the end of the day.
Let's be honest, if you turned up at your job and you had people, customers, should we say, coming in and
shouting at you,
would you want to go out and
you wouldn't want to do it, of course you wouldn't, it'd put you off doing it. So yeah, we do agree, David. I think that the negative comments, there's a time and a place, and we try to be constructive here on Jills in the Blood. We can't talk for other vlog sites. I mean, they run their vlog sites how they want to run them, and that's entirely their prerogative. I've got no issue with that. But yes, we do agree in a sense, and I think the bottom line from us is that we try to be constructive of any criticism that we do to put out towards individuals or the team as a whole. But yeah, really interesting question. Thank you, mate. Next up is friend of the channel and regular contributor Dave Miller, better known as True Blue Jock to you on YouTube. There has been lots of talk about who we need to sign and in what areas, but do you think we'll receive any offers for any of our players? Another good question. Cheers, Dave. Obviously flips it on his head a bit because, like you say, everyone at the moment's talking about who we should bring in. So, I mean, the obvious ones are going to be Thomas Eves or Thomas Holy, the two Toms, I would say. I personally think more so Thomas Holy than Thomas Eves. And that's no disrespect to Tom Eves because he's been absolutely brilliant. I love the bloke. I mean, he's become a cult hero in
similar to
5
Holy,
months.
another one who has turned a lot of fan. Again, hands up. I wasn't a massive fan at the start, but
same here. Yep, humble pie.
Certainly changed our opinions.
We said that we didn't want him or Stuart Nelson at the beginning of the season. We was all for giving Tom Adler a go. So, but that's why we sit here and do these YouTube channels. And Steve Lovell and Adrian Pennock and Peter Taylor and whoever else, they run the football club and make the decisions and get paid to do it.
You know, we say Holy and Eves. I think Eves is having probably his best spell, isn't he?
Yeah, well, we read an interview from a few weeks ago and he said that he's not doing anything different, but it's just going in now. Whereas last season at Yeovil, I think he said he hit the post about 6 or 7 times. So if they'd gone in, he'd got double figures. So
well, you think if you're a big, let's say, lower half championship side and you're looking at a striker, you might look at him and say he's in form now, but generally over the past.
Or someone that's trying to get out of our division. Because I was going to compare it, sorry to interlude, James Hansen, done very well for Bradford in our league, and then went Sheffield United last January. I think he's only played twice this season. He's now gone back into our league and he's gone to Bury. You were rock bottom. So, but Thomas Holy, I think we need to talk about a bit more.
Holy is the concern
because there's been rumoured interest. Palace, Bristol City, and Derby County. Yep. So yeah, I think he'd be the one. I'm hopeful we don't. I think we'd be silly to sell him in this window, but maybe watch this space in terms of the summer if he can continue this form. That would be my answer, Dave.
Fair play to Holy.
And Glenn Johnson as well. Big mention to Glenn Johnson, who's been first class since coming in and getting the best out of him. And Steve Arnold, Tom Adler and Stuart Nelson, I think they all speak highly of him. So well done to Glenn and well done to Thomas. Next one is from Colin Hamer. Thank you, mate. How can we change the negative attitude of some fans and turn the criticism from negative into positive, thus changing some fans into supporters rather than liabilities? Controversial, Colin. My own opinion on that question, especially about changing opinions and changing the attitudes of supporters, is we can't.
No.
And also, if we all had the same opinion and we was all positive all the time, we'd have nothing to talk about. Again, like we've just said about the booing and that with David's question, there's times and places to do it. I don't know what you think, but for me, I don't think you can change people's approach to how they see games.
You can't physically do it. How do you change it? I don't think you do. I think it takes time.
Well, yeah, obviously.
It's a lot to do with
how the team's playing.
Yeah, the biggest thing is what's going on the pitch, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Because if we're winning games, like the chairman, who's talking about the chairman at the moment? No one.
No, but right now, we've picked up. Agreed?
Yeah, definitely.
There's still 1 or 2 now that are still not convinced and that are still slating individuals.
Yeah, there's been people that saying like Steve Lovell and how he doesn't manage games properly at home, but you're always going to. So this is what I think our point, Colin, is some people are generally glass half full and some are generally glass half empty and always want to find something.
We've had that a few last season where I was probably definitely the more negative one of the 2 of us, and you were the opposite. You were more positive.
I was trying, but it got to me as well.
I don't think you can, to be honest. I think
it's human nature and it's built into how people are built and it's in their character. So, but a very interesting question again, Colin. Little controversial. We appreciate that one. Cheers, mate. Next one is from Patrikovic, or Malmo Rook as he's known on Twitter. Thoughts on why the home form is still not great? Are teams merely sitting in, or are the Gills sitting back too much? Is there something you'd like to see Steve Lovell try differently at home? Right, Boz, I'll let you start with this one about the home form.
The biggest thing I think is the amount of pressure. I think when generally we've been better at home down the years. I've had a season for a long time now. We've always been much better home side than we have been away.
Yep.
But also with that comes pressure. And when you go away, we have quite a decent away following, to be fair, don't we? Fair play to those guys.
Especially considering how we've played for the last 2 years. People have still gone in good numbers, yeah.
When you go away, you're more grouped together in the stand, aren't you?
Yeah, you get to stand with your mates and all those that sing tend to get together, whereas you can't be spread
you
out.
You make a lot of noise and whatnot, and it's like that us versus them thing, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, yep.
Whereas at home, I think it is a lot of pressure on the players. They're expected to win at home, not just for our club, for most clubs.
Yeah, because generally the rule is people say if you win your own games and you pick up points on the road, you do all right. So as an old adage, but I'm going to look at it slightly different and say still not great. Correct. It's only 1 win and 8 at home, I think. So I think we've taken only 8 points out of. I think it's 8 out of 21. Sorry, it's 1 win from 7, if I remember right. I'll try to work it out. 1 win from 7 at home, but it's only 1 defeat, which was Northampton. So in terms of as it improved from Adrian Pennock and Peter Taylor, yes. But
yeah,
I think
there's been games that we've drawn where
of course we'd be expected to win, yeah.
Whereas under Pennock might have gone the other way.
But I'm just trying to put a positive spin on it and say it has improved from what it was before he came on board. And obviously we'd love to have won maybe 2 of them games that we drew because suddenly you'd be in the top half. But
if things had been the other way round, if
the pitch ain't great either.
If we'd have won more home games and drawn away games, people would be saying, well, actually that's quite good.
Yeah, we said that the week when we lost to Northampton and drew with Wigan. We said if it had been the other way round, no one would have batted an eyelid, would they?
But if the home form was what the away form is, if it was reversed,
yeah, no one was saying
the home form was good and we're picking up points away.
Yeah.
You know, so it swings around.
Whereas it's at the moment, it's a bit top heavy in terms of away form is where we seem to be accumulating everything. But I think we're doing all right. I mean, it's not great at home. We'd like it to be better, but it is only 1 defeat. Again, it comes back to Colin's question, I suppose. It depends if you're glass half full or glass half empty and how you look at it. So, a good question though, Patrickovich, and thank you very much, mate. Next one is from Lee Clifton, or Fomblog as he's known on Twitter. Does this weekend's break come at the right time as it allows players a rest, or does it come at the wrong time as we've collected 11 points from the last possible 15 in the league? Very good question. Thank you, Lee. I don't know about you, but I'm going to say it's probably a bit of both.
Yeah, we've got a few walking wounded, haven't we?
Yeah.
Especially Carlton took another knock last week.
Oh, did he? I haven't read that.
My Charlton mate at work said he was chasing back with, I want to say McGuinness, but I don't think it was.
Right.
And he's had to hook the ball away, otherwise they were going to score. But the momentum of the guy behind him was taking him into the post. He said that's why he went off. It wasn't a serious one, it's one of them, it's a knock.
So it's an impact rather than a
it's
strain
not like
or a muscle problem.
No.
Thank God for that.
Obviously, we've got 1 or 2. Like Eves looked quite tired a couple of weeks ago.
Before, when was it? He started on the bench again. When was it? Boxing Day. We said it was probably his worst game in a while. That was, and he got hooked after an hour. And then he started on the bench against Wimbledon. And he come on after an hour and was really good and changed the game. So I remember talking to Simon about it in the stadium. And then we didn't go New Year's Day, unfortunately. But yeah, plenty said it was his best game by a distance. And he was unplayable most of the time. Yeah, I think Carl Robinson said he bullied the centre halves. I'm going to say it's probably a good thing for 2 reasons. We've got a few walking wounded, like you say. They looked out on their feet against Charlton, and that's fair play to all of them because they've all been putting a shift in for weeks and months now since Steve Lovell come in, and it gives us a fortnight, especially with the news about Sean Clare, which we'll talk about a little bit more.
Yeah,
we need to get some numbers in. Yeah, hopefully by the time Rochdale rolls around on the 13th, we might have 1 or 2 in, and the likes of Scott Wagstaff, Bradley Garmston, Ben Nugent, who've missed out the last couple of games, might be fully fit, and then hopefully we've got everyone available aside from the 2 long-term injuries. So yeah, I'm going to say it's more of a good thing at the moment. Obviously we'd love to keep playing and picking up points, but if you're knackered, eventually it's going to catch you up. So we're saying it's a good thing, I think, Lee, that we need a rest. Next question is from Matt Lawrence, Jill's mod. Hope you're doing well, Matt. Obviously, still recovering from your surgery, I believe, last year. Good to see you still about on Twitter, and hopefully we'll see you at a game at some point. Would a new stadium have a positive or negative impact on the team? With our ground currently generally under 50% full, would playing in front of empty seats in a bigger arena knock the players' confidence? Interesting, that one.
Yeah, we've both spoken before about the whole stadium thing, haven't we? Now, right now, it's probably not ideal to do it right now.
No, because what are the numbers being bandied about? He's looking
It's
at Scully wants 20 to 25 plus.
It's really, really ambitious.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Darlington, I know people mention Darlington a lot, but they have, what was it, 20,000, 15,000?
Oh, it's ridiculous, yeah. Where are they now? They're like Conference North or something ridiculous. I know their chairman was a bit of a crook, but...
Well, flip it on its head. Would it do you any good playing a stadium that big with practically no one there?
No, of course not. No. I mean, you see these games like when in Europe when people have to play behind closed doors, the atmosphere... Well, there isn't an atmosphere, obviously, for obvious reasons. But in terms of us, Matt, I think... Obviously, it comes back to whether we're playing well again. Because if we're playing well,
I said this
then more people come and watch football
matches. The first thing you need
matches.
to get right is what's on the pitch.
I think we need to be in the Championship to be looking at getting 15, 20,000 on a regular basis again. What was we getting?
Sustainable.
What was we getting when we was in the Championship? Probably 8, 9, 10, which is filling it up. So it comes. I think Tony Pulis was the big one, wasn't he, on one of them documentaries years and years ago, and it was his battle was. There's no point having a nice stadium because you won't fill it up unless you've got good players that are getting people through the door.
If it's all well and good to have a nice stadium, if you're not filling it, how are you paying for that stadium?
Exactly. So it's...
right now, I'd rather stay where we are and keep pushing.
Yeah, and keep improving. It's a bit of a vicious circle, isn't it? And it's almost like the chicken and the egg. Which one comes before the other one, so to speak.
Look at Brighton. Brighton weren't building a new stadium when they were mid-table in League One.
No, but as soon as they got into the Championship and started having aspirations of getting into the Premier League...
Once they were regularly up the top of League One,
then they started doing that.
Yeah, fair play.
So, a really interesting question though, Matt. Really appreciate that one. That's one I think plenty of us will think about a little bit more in the future. Darius is up next and he asks us, do you think the chairman has lost credibility with most fans or does he maintain the support of the majority? He's not really been spoken about, has he, for the last...
It's gone rather quiet.
Couple of months.
Start of season, it seemed to be one headline after another, didn't it?
We're playing well. So you tend to get left alone if you're producing what you're meant to be producing, like in any walk of life and in any job. Like if you do sales and if you're making the right sales and you're making a good amount of money, then your area manager's not tapping on your door wanting to know why you're not getting those sales. And at the moment, Paul Scully done the right thing eventually. I think in the eyes of probably 90% of Gills fans, and he gave Steve Lovell a crack. We're winning football matches and we're climbing the league. So we don't have to talk about the chairman.
Sometimes he needs to think before he speaks.
But he's got an interesting 4 weeks now in terms of...
Oh yeah, he could do his talking with what he brings in.
Because we've got all this money apparently that he told us and everything was going to be good news for the next few months.
All these people saying we're going to go and sign 3 or 4 players, a couple of 100,000, it won't happen.
No, we might get one big one in maybe, and then we look at loans or frees.
Yeah, but generally...
Which I think will be fine. If he can get one big name in, I think fans will be happy with that. Yeah, of course.
To keep the club running.
But yeah, it's an interesting 4 weeks in terms of how much support he gives Steve Lovell, especially again with the news that Sean Clare's gone back with very light in midfield. In answer to your question directly, Darius, does he maintain the support of the majority? I'm not sure.
You have your hardcore who will say he saved the club.
We'll still go and watch.
But with he does make silly comments from time to time that irritate me and others.
Plenty, yeah.
Yeah, right now, I don't think he does.
But at the moment, it's nice because we're not having to worry about that because we're concentrating on Gillingham Football Club doing what they're meant to be doing on a football pitch, and that's winning games. So, which is quite nice. So long may that continue, I think, is how we'll end this one. Next one comes from Gabriel Sutton, who runs the Football Lab, which is a very decent website, Gills fans, if you're not having a look at it. And his question is very simple. Best non-Gillingham player in League One? I'm just going to do it with 2 words. I know we mentioned him in a previous question, and to not do it too obvious, shall we say the 2 words together? 1, 2, 3. Bradley Dack. Next question comes from Lewis Browning, who runs White Lions Media. Again, if you're not following, check them out on YouTube. Very decent videos that they put out. They do a vast array of footballing content, and I think they've expanded cricket, Formula One, if that's your thing. Anyway, Lewis's question: how big a problem is the pitch at the Mems Priestfield Stadium? It's not the best, is it?
It's not the best, but
it's not the worst.
Both teams have to play on it as well.
This is the thing.
You adapt to your conditions, don't you?
And the thing, I don't want us to be making it as an excuse, because then we start thinking about it too much before we play games. No one mentioned the pitch after Bristol Rovers when we thumped them 4-1, but then it suddenly became an issue when we dropped points at home to Oxford and at home to Wimbledon again. So it's not great. It looks bobbly.
There's plenty of bad pitches around this
But
time
I remember
of
us in the last couple of years travelling to the likes of Blackpool and who was the other one? Oldham.
Stockport's a few
just
years
mud
back.
and sand, effectively, like a sand pit. So, and they have to play on that 23 times in a season. So, Newport last season, I've seen that on the Football League show. That looked absolutely horrendous. And didn't they have to play their first half dozen games away this season because they'd relayed the pitch in the summer? So it is a bit of a problem, yes, Lewis, if we want to get the ball down.
It's probably something that won't change until the summer.
At the very least. I know people have certain views about that, Mr. Chairman, that we've just spoken about in a previous question, and cost cutting, etc., etc. But like Boz said, both teams have to play on it. It only becomes an issue when we don't win a football match. Like we say, when we smashed Bristol Rovers and Mark Byrne was tonking them in the top corner, we didn't say a word, did we? The pitch weren't an issue at all. So it's not the best in League One, but it's by far the worst, and I don't want it to be used as an excuse. Next question is from David Anand, very well thought of and opinionated Gills fan on Twitter. And his question is, if you could bring back one Gills player from another era to improve the current squad, who would it be? Right, Boz, you go first.
I've said before, my favourite player that I've ever watched live for Gills is Paul Shaw. He was fitting perfectly right now. Exactly what we need as number 10.
Definitely,
He's got goals, plenty of assists.
Yeah, probably more assists than goals, I think, to be honest. He had a great upbringing, didn't he, at Arsenal. Right, I'm going to go for another type of midfielder, and I am going to say, it's probably pretty obvious, Andy Hessenthaler.
Not Lewis Montrose?
No, weirdly enough. He was on my... he was in my top 500 towards the bottom. Well, shut up. Andy Hessenthaler, for obvious reasons, we're desperately short in central midfield. We desperately need a proper anchor man, hard man, defensive midfielder. If that's what you want... Excuse me. If that's what you want to label it. I think when he played, he was just an hard-working centre midfielder, but I think he'd be great. If you could get in...
Someone like that now, between...
We'd have him alongside Byrne and then Paul Shaw in front. I think we'd do all right, and I think Tom Eaves would enjoy playing in that side. So, no disrespect to you, Lee Martin and Jake Hessenthaler, but yeah, that wouldn't be a bad three. So that's our two, Paul Shaw and Andy Hessenthaler. Next question comes from Instavan87. I don't know his real name, but thanks for the question anyway. For all of the Gills in the Blood TV team, what positions would you like strengthened in the January transfer window? I think there's one area we're glaringly short at the moment, aren't we? Central midfield. I think we need a defensive midfielder. We probably need an orthodox centre midfielder now, and we probably need another number 10.
Yep.
So that would be our positions. On top of that, I think I've tweeted and said if I could get another quick winger in, I'd appreciate one more, especially now with Sean Clare going, because he played from the side a few times. And then after that, maybe a striker, but I think I'm getting greedy. I think central midfield.
If we're only having one, centre midfield.
Centre midfield, it's got to be for us. So, yeah, quite a simple answer. Cheers for the question, mate. Next question is from Nick at Gills Debate, another excellent Twitter page. If you're not following, why not? With reported interest from the likes of Palace, Derby and Bristol City in Thomas Holy, what sort of price tag would you put on Thomas if he were to be sold in this transfer window? We're slightly different in terms of fee, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's a tricky one because we just mentioned David Bentley, who went from...
Daniel Bentley.
David Bentley? Oh, ex-Tottenham, yeah. The David Beckham lookalike.
He's running clubs these days.
Daniel Bentley went for $1 million, didn't he, when he went from Southend to Brentford. but he was slightly younger, and he'd obviously been doing it in our division for longer as well. So obviously Thomas has come across from Czech Republic, and he's had half a good season, a very good season at that. Yeah. I'd say 250,000. I think would be ideal with some add-ons. You said you think you might get a bit more.
Well, I think slightly more. I think 3 to 400k plus add-ons of appearances, just because I don't think Scally would sell cheap yet, because
that's the thing we want to reiterate. I don't want him to go this window. I think he's made a massive difference, and he could continue to make a difference.
Him and Eves would be the two most difficult to replace, and probably Zakwani in this team at the moment. Right
yeah,
now.
Definitely. So anything between $250,000 and $500,000, including add-ons, we've gone between us. But we both don't want him going this window.
Regardless of what interest, I don't think he'll go this window.
No, I don't think he will as well. But he could be it could be 5 places different.
It could be the difference between us staying up and struggling. Yeah.
So cheers for the question, Nick, and I hope that's answered it sufficiently. Next question comes from John Rowland, and it's quite simple. Favourite away day ever? Right, I've got 2. Going back to the 98-99 season, I'm going to say, firstly, Notts County away. We won 1-0. Carla Saba scored the winner. Went up on the coach, was absolutely brilliant. We was already guaranteed to be in the playoffs regardless of the result, but Saab scored an absolute beauty to win us the game. And then to top it off, we got back on the bus and the radio was on, and we got in just in time into our seats to hear that Jimmy Glass, the goalkeeper, scored a last-minute equaliser to keep Carlisle in the Football League. I think that got as big a cheer as Carla Saba's goal did at Meadow Lane. It was hilarious. And my second one is the playoffs from that season. Preston away, a really good day out. And I think Bob Taylor equalised and got us a 1-1 draw, which we took back to Priestfield and ended up seeing off Preston to get to Wembley, where unfortunately we lost to Manchester City. Boz, yours?
My first away game was Ipswich back in the Championship. I think I simply avoided a crazy game. We ended up winning 4-3.
That was your first away day? Yeah. Not bad for a debut.
Back in the days when Mum and Daddy used to pay for all the away trips, I used to be able to do a lot more back then.
Yeah, it'd be lovely if we could do that all the time, but unfortunately we have other commitments.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. So up and down. Some of the names in Ipswich's team were decent, and we had like Mama Sadibi and Tommy Johnson up front.
Tommy Johnson's your favourite ever player, isn't he?
Well, no. Just Burton away when we won the league. We'd already won the league. That was just for the atmosphere.
That Mad Dog chucked all the kids in, wasn't it?
Absolutely crazy. Yeah, it wasn't a very good game. We lost, but it was mental.
Who cares if you won
in that away end? At the end, they all come over and celebrated with a trophy. Yeah, Ipswich and Burton. Ipswich is the top one.
So we've got 2 each then. We're being greedy. Sorry, John. Yeah, so I went for Preston and Notts County, and Boz had Ipswich and Burton Albion. Right, down to the last few now. Next comes from Geordie, Geordie86 Renault on Twitter. AD clearly wasn't the man for the job, but how much credit does he get for the players that he brought in? I think he gets plenty of credit. I mean, we know we've all had our opinions on Adrian Pennock as a manager, but similar to like Hesse and Peter Taylor, they tend to look like they can get the players in.
Yeah.
So they're probably more suited to like a director of football role.
Players, yeah. Yeah, Hesse and Taylor's best spell for us, for me, was as director of football, because some of the players he brought in.
I mean, you can list them. We can list Peter Taylor's. So Peter Taylor likes of John Egan and.
There's a difference between being able to spot a player and being able to coach them.
Yeah, that's the trouble. That all of them, 3 of them, Peter Taylor, especially the older he got. No disrespect to Peter, but he didn't seem to move with the times. But they couldn't get him into a team and a system that worked. But if you look at like Peter Taylor, I've just said John Egan, Hesse bought in.
Adam Barrett.
Yep, absolute leader.
Legend,
I nearly said legend. I'm not sure. I might get told off by some older members of our following. But AD obviously is the one we're talking about, and 2 of them last January. Josh Parker, Thomas Holy got ridiculed. Well, one's joint top scorer, I think now. Or was he one behind Tom Eves?
Both pretty much and first choice.
Thomas Holy's been brilliant. And then the ones in the summer as well. Tom Eves, Gabriel Zakwani, Billy Bingham was good till he got injured. Yeah. Sean Clare on loan. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of credit that needs to go to AD in terms of who he got in. Unfortunately, it didn't work out tactically. But yeah, similar situation to previous people. He done very well in terms of recruitment. Steve Brackley is our next one. Are you surprised more of our youngsters, Darren Oldacre especially, haven't had more minutes under Steve Lovell? That's an interesting one, that, Steve. They've had some minutes, haven't they? All of them. Finn O'Mara got some minutes, come on at... Oh, no, that was under Peter Taylor. But they tend to have been in, like, the checker trade games, to be honest. Darren Oldacre's probably the one that, if we are surprised about any, because he's been in and around the squad now for 18 months, and he does have all the ability in the world, it looks like. But I'm going to go back to an interview we did a couple of months ago with Mark Patterson, and also back to a chat with Pato at Dover in pre-season that I had, and that was about Nolan Bow. We have to realise they are still kids. There's a big step up between under-18 football and League One football. For me, Darren Oldacre sometimes looks like the game comes a bit too easy to him, and then he almost looks like he becomes casual and almost bored. I'm not saying he does, so I don't want people, jumping on me and saying I'm saying he's casual and he's not interested. I think similar in the way that Connor Wilkinson runs, some people just look lazy, lethargic.
Well, you say something like Berbatov used to, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He used to just sort of glide around the pitch, and you'd think he weren't interested most of the time. And I'm not for 1 minute saying Darren Oldacre's lazy and his attitude's wrong, but I just think the game comes a bit easy to him sometimes, and then he almost forgets that he has to do the other side of the game, and maybe that's why he's not getting minutes.
I've said to you before, Oldacre I would have on the bench every single week, because if we need a goal and we've got set piece, that kid can deliver a set piece.
Yeah, we've seen that in the Reading game. Checker trade, he scored 2 free kicks.
I like what I've seen of it, yeah. He has got a lot of ability, but also in them 18 months, he hasn't been a regular under any of the umpteen.
No, it's not just Steve Lovell, is it? I think Justin Edinburgh bigged him up the most, and then he didn't get games under him, and then he weren't fancied under Adrian Pennock. But he got on at Charlton. I thought he would be
similar to List. I thought he would get similar minutes and appearances as List as this season.
But he's been behind Ben Chapman a couple of times, hasn't he? So, but then that could be Steve Lovell just looking at types of players for types of games.
You wonder if there is just something holding him back. Just hope that we're wrong. Hopefully he can come good.
And again, obviously we don't see training every day, so there's obviously Steve Lovell and his coaching staff see a lot more than we do. We're only surmising and sort of educated guessing what it is that's holding him back, so to speak. So, but he got on at Charlton, and now with Sean Clare going, maybe he'll get more minutes and get involved more.
It might be the perfect time for him now to come in and make position his own. Yeah.
Opportunity to take and grab it with both hands. Down to the last 3 questions. Daniel Hewitt asks, do you think non-season ticket holders are being priced out of match days? For example, ticket on the day is more expensive than if pre-ordered, and for 3 adults to go to a League One game, you're looking at around 90 quid before you've even had a drink or something to eat. It's a really good question, that one, Daniel. The biggest point for me, I think, is the bit about the match day tickets. I think you pay, what is it? We pay what, 20? We don't. We're season ticket holders, so ours works out about £16 a game, doesn't it? So match day tickets are 21, I think, if you order in advance, and they go up to 23 for an adult if you pay on the day.
Yeah.
For me, drop it on the day. It's not going to be cheaper than a season ticket holder, so we're not missing out, and you're not going to get season ticket holders going, oh well, they're ordering the tickets last minute and they're getting a better deal than us. So clearly, if there's tickets available on the day, there's seats available. So why not drop it by £2?
Surely you'd rather have people in.
So if you want people to order weeks in advance, they pay 21 quid. If people want to come along on the day, say it's 19 or 20 quid. You might sell another 200 tickets.
Yeah.
But surely it's better than them just going idle and sitting in a ticket office. So for me, that would be more of an incentive if you're not sure on the Saturday morning to go along and watch a football match. Because you're right, for 3 adults, League One level, it's extortionate. You have, for me, examples are like Bradford, their season ticket scheme's really good. Isn't it, the earlier you order, the cheaper it becomes?
Yeah.
To a certain point, obviously they stop it. But I think theirs worked out £149 this year, didn't it, an adult, on average?
Yeah.
Huddersfield got promoted into the Premier League.
Yeah, they froze their price, didn't they?
What was it they did with season ticket holders as well? They said if you've been a season ticket holder for the last 5 seasons, you've got your season ticket in the Premier League for 100 quid.
Just
and I think
shows a bit of
you can go and watch a Man City game for about £9 more than you can watch us. I know you've got travel involved, but 30 quid to go and watch Man City, who are in Europe and in the Champions League and top of the Premier League, or, no disrespect to us, £23 to go and watch Gillingham. It's a no-brainer. And I'll let you talk about all the add-ons as well. I mean, we do it.
I think what you just said is spot on, but it's not just us. Plenty of clubs do it. But you do wonder, would you rather have empty seats or would you rather take a hit on, like you say, 200 seats?
Exactly, yeah. If you lose £5 a ticket but get more people in.
Yeah.
you're making £600 or whatever. I don't know what the figure is, I'm not going to work it out. But yeah, surely you'd rather get someone in and make something on it rather than just chuck that ticket away and wait for next
That's
time.
what I never understand how, I know from time to time they give out the comps, don't they, to like local schools and things.
Yeah.
And there's been games in the past where we've seen things that tickets have just been given out to people that live nearby for free just to get them in. Your idea is perfect. Just
again, that's fine. I've got no issue with that. You could probably send out 200 of them, but as long as it's not negating what the season ticket holders are doing, that's the biggest thing. I think is it's got to be a balance between season ticket holders getting the best deal because they're shelling out a lot in one go,
we've said before, it's not
and also I think there should be more deals for people that travel away every week. I mean, again, we're not ones that travel away, unfortunately. Work commitments, family commitments and stuff for both of us means that we have to pick and choose, and this year we've not managed to get to any, unfortunately. Like you say, it'd be nice if we was all teenagers and it gets funded by someone else, but that's not possible for us. I know what my mother would say if I asked her for 30 quid to spend on a football ticket. I'd probably get a slap with it as well. But it's got to be a balance, all jokes aside, between season ticket holders. Those that travel to away games every week should get more of an incentive, I think, and maybe a discount, maybe free travel. Because we've done it as a one-off, didn't we? Carlisle, they said if you put the ticket on the coach, you've got the match ticket for...
You could probably do some sort of point scheme. If you go to X amount of games per season, you get X amount off.
I think someone else suggested, said if you buy a season ticket, you get shirt half price. You can't tell me them shirts are costing 20 quid to make. They probably get made for about a £5. So there's plenty they could be doing, Daniel, and I think we could probably do a whole vlog on it, to be quite honest. It's a really good question, and maybe it's something that we'll look at in the future if we get a spare day or two. But cheers for the question, mate. Next question comes from Nick Rowland. Appreciate that one, mate. But I think we have already answered it. Now we're in January. What's our weakest position that you try and fill in the transfer window? I think Instavan asked this a little while back, didn't he? And we both agreed straight away. Centre midfield. We desperately need probably 3 in one guys or another, attacking, defensive, or just an orthodox centre midfielder. So yeah, if it was only one area we could pick, Nick, we'd go for central midfield. Last but not least is Loon Potter. Excellent Twitter name. I'm not going to ask why. With Sean Clare returning to Sheffield Wednesday and Darren Oldacre getting unexpected minutes at Charlton this week, do you think there may be a positional shake-up and that Oldacre may benefit the most from Sean Clare's departure? We've just said it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity now. It's how he wants to approach it and whether he can go and grab it with both hands. Is he a number 10?
I don't think he's a number 10.
I think he's a central midfielder.
Now, it's probably the perfect chance for him.
Yeah, because if you played him in an orthodox 3 with a Burn and a...
Because at the moment, Burn's quite box-to-box, isn't he?
Yeah, we could almost go back to like what we said, David Annan's question about bringing in someone from a previous year. If you could bring in an Andy Hessenthaler and play as a midfield 3, you'd probably play Hess, Mark Burn and Darren Oldacre, wouldn't you, as a 3? So you've got your box-to-box, your sitter and your one that can ping passes, your sort of quarterback that it gets called now.
Let's be honest.
Excuse me again.
He could save us a lot of money.
Yep.
You know, if we can get a defensive-minded player in and then get him in that side, he could save us a lot of money. We might not have to go and replace.
Yeah, if you get the number 10 and the sit-in, then you've almost got Oldacre, Burn and Jake that are similar types of players. If you can have
Oldacre as almost not like a 3-year-old, do you know what I mean? But not expecting to do too much defensively because you've already got someone back there that's willing to do that. He could flourish. Yeah,
I think we've already said he's got all the ability in the world, and we hope that he does really well. It's just obviously something that Steve Lovell sees that we don't as fans. That at the moment is holding him back slightly. But I think he could
also, if he has a good spell, he could end up earning us money. You know.
Could do, yeah, and then we'd have to buy another one. But yeah, but then it obviously develop his move then, which would be great to see. But for now, it'd be great just to see him in the team and flourishing and doing well for us. But it's up to him. Attitude and all that. If that's all right, then there's no reason why not that he can't go and get himself in the team on a regular basis. Right, that is all the questions answered from myself and Boz. Thank you to everyone that sent them in. I think we've answered all of them. I'm not sure. There might have been a couple that we've missed where people have duplicated or answered or asked similar questions. So we've had to, you know, sort of move it around so that everyone tries to get at least one answered. Thanks again, and thanks to everyone who's got us over 600 subscribers. Thank you very much. Obviously no game this Saturday, so it's a free weekend. So whatever you're doing, enjoy your weekend. And until next time, up the Gills.